Victoria Pendleton said that she didn't feel like celebrating at all after she won Olympic gold in Beijing. Jonny Wilkinson, the legendary England rugby player, said that he expected joy to follow winning the World Cup, but in his own words, the joy never came. Andre Agassi, after winning his first Grand Slam at Wimbledon, said that he felt like he'd been let in on a dirty secret. Winning changes nothing. The legendary Mark Spitz, the swimmer who won 7 gold medals in Munich in 1972, said that he could not believe that after that success, he wasn't guaranteed a life full of lasting fulfillment, and he never recovered or created a life after that moment. Sport often mirrors business and the rest of society. Over in business, Fred Goodwin, the chief executive of the Royal Bank of Scotland, was described as a serial winner. He had to win, is what all of his colleagues explained when interviewed after the financial crash, because in February 2008, after a series of ambitious takeover bids, Fred Goodwin presided over the largest annual corporate loss in British history, £24 billion, requiring an unprecedented British government bailout. Over in Volkswagen, those emissions engineers had to meet the targets that they were set. They had to create a solution that would work, that would hit the impossibly high performance and price targets, which they did, except the way they did it was illegal. And Group Chief Executive Martin Winterkorn was criminally indicted in the US on charges of fraud and conspiracy. Rolls-Royce, that great British company, was pursued for years and had a long-running scandal that resulted in £6.71 million of penalties because of the ways in which it had gone about winning valuable contracts abroad. Winning is held up as being the driver of all things good that we should strive for, that will drive performance higher. But we should also be alert to the dangers that in certain contexts, winning can kill collaboration, can drive poor decision-making, poor teamworking, and at times lead to reputational ruin and financial ruin alongside, and even a life behind bars. When I teach on business school programs, supporting leaders and executives to learn how to develop teams better, I always want to try and focus on the how, but this theme of winning is ever present. I want to look at how we're working, how we're thinking, how we're making decisions, our beliefs that we bring to things, the way that we behave and interact. But everyone is always aware of, surely we've got to be winning. If I set up an exercise and create some groups, before I've given any objectives, there can immediately be the sense that the groups are needing to compete against each other, to outdo each other, to make sure they look better to the one alongside them. That behavior reduces the opportunity to learn, reduces any opportunity to collaborate and share ideas and explore and co-create new ways of doing things. It doesn't drive performance at all. But winning is all around us. We hear about it at school, we learn about it from our teachers and our parents. We see it on the television, we hear it in advertising, we see it on the billboards, it's in the Hollywood films, it's everywhere. But over time, we have developed a very narrow sense of what winning looks like, that's short-term and short-lived and often determined by others, not something that we really buy into. And in many of those cases, winning is holding us back. We need to redefine what winning really means, because there are too many occasions in life where what is held up to be winning actually does not offer anything meaningful or lasting beyond a single moment. If we look back at the etymology, at the words winning, competition, then we find something quite different. The word winning is derived from two meanings that have the concepts of effort and joy at their heart. Not beating others, not being the best, being superior, effort and joy. If we look at the word competition, it goes back to competere in Latin, which means to strive together. not striving against others, vanquishing, destroying, defeating others, being the best. It's about striving together. And that offers us a way to start to redefine success that might help us for the world that we find ourselves in. These binary definitions of winning and losing that we hear all of the time in the media reports, whether it's in education, politics, business, or sport. Maybe they worked for a binary conventional world a couple of centuries ago, but the issues we face today are complex. They are not issues to be won and lost, whether it's environmental protection, social inequality, global health, global trade, or global security. These are not issues that any one person can be the best at, can defeat others in. They need all of us to work together to find new ways to adapt and be ready to tackle these complex, ongoing, lasting issues. In businesses, we face challenges and issues of how to cope with fast advancing technology, the need to harness a much more diverse pool of talent and be aware of the environmental and social impact of our organizations. Again, these aren't tick box exercises. They require a different mindset, a different way of behaving, and a different way of interacting and creating relationships across the whole network that we're involved in. It's time to redefine what success looks like, and the long win offers us a new approach. The long win is based on 3 principles, 3 ways of thinking, if you like, which I call the 3 C's: clarity, constant learning, and connection. These aren't just things to be ticked off, to be done at an away day. They are an ongoing themes to help us keep on track, to make sure we don't get sidetracked by this short-termism, by these easy metrics that we think define success until we get to them and we realize that they don't necessarily hold the key to anything of lasting value. Clarity, first of all. Clarity is about clarifying what matters. Not just what's easy to measure, not just short-term metrics, but clarifying what matters over the longer term. Tapping into that sense of purpose. Why do we exist? Why do our teams exist? Why do our organizations exist? Not just at an away day once a year, but bringing that purpose into every interaction that we have, every meeting that we have, every team conversation that we have, every project decision that we make. Making sure we are clarifying what matters, not just doing things that are in front of us or that are easy to measure. Part of that is clarifying how we do things, not just the what. There is no international level sports team that would dream of competing and trying to perform to its best without clarifying how it works together. That's not something you leave to chance because it's too crucial to performance. And yet in organizations, we are often so focused on the what, on the quantity of tasks and issues that we have to do, that we don't always explore the how. In sport, we've been freed up somewhat by the fact that we can't just increase what we do. Often an elite athlete will train 3 times a day, 7 days a week, most weeks of the year, perhaps as much as 6 hours of physical training a day, sometimes even more. All of the time, that athlete is looking to go faster, is looking to improve their performance, to get to the next level. Another hour in the gym, though, is not the answer. An all-nighter is certainly not the key to performance either. The athlete then starts to look at the quality of their training, how they are going about it, the environment in which they are training, the culture, the mindsets, the less easily visible aspects of how they're performing, and starts to improve all of these. They give us a rich way to improve that isn't just about doing more, but about doing things differently by clarifying what really matters. The second C of the long win is constant learning. That gives us a theme that will take us through the highs and lows of our career, that will take us through success and failure and keep us moving on. If we look at the research around resilience, leadership, performance, we see this theme recurring time and time again, that learning is critical to optimizing what's possible, to exploring, to growing individually and collectively. Putting learning at the heart of our picture of success is essential if we really want to explore what we are capable of together. Constant learning is an approach that is something that sits at the heart of the performance world in sport. Athletes know that in order to be at their best, they can't guarantee that they're going to win, but what they can do is guarantee they have maximized making improvements every single day. They still want to win. Of course, that hasn't changed, and that's fine. It's good to be trying to be at our best. But athletes need to accept, and do now through sports psychology and the developments that have been made in how to support athletes to perform at their best, that they can't control those results. The results depend on external factors to a degree. Maybe the weather, maybe umpires or referees, whether you're injury-free or not, whether the event is even happening. What an athlete controls, though, is their performance. They separate out their performance from the results that they can't control. The best way to optimize those results is to optimize their performance, to maximize all of the elements that they can improve every day. And so they set out to improve those, not just the easily measurable ones, not just the ones that involve technique and how many weights you're lifting and how fast you go, but also your mindset, how you're communicating with colleagues, how you're collaborating, and how you're recovering in between sessions, even how you're switching off to ensure that real break from the intensity of training. Performance and improving performance, not just obsessing about results in the future, is the key to athletes optimizing the results that they then get. It's also part of how they review when they're racing or training, always looking at what are they learning. Because it doesn't actually matter whether you've won or lost a race, you still want to go fast next time. I won some international races. I still did things wrong. I did some things really well and I wanted to capture those, and there were things that I could improve for next time. It was exactly the same if I lost a race. I often did things that were really, really good and some things that needed to be improved. So why would I change my approach based on the results? Athletes learn to review their performance regardless of results and to get really good at that. Otherwise, there's a danger that that obsession with winning takes away from the opportunity to learn and optimize that next step of progress. Constant learning sits at the heart of performance, of growth, of motivation as well. The third C of the long win is connection, because human connections, relationships, sit at the heart of everything that we do. We cannot succeed alone. So let's prioritize those. Let's put those first, not last, on the list of what we do. Quite often I find that we have habits in organizations that focusing on the to-do list, on the tasks that we have to do, not the relationships that will enable us to do those tasks in the best way. We look at meetings and we see agenda items and action points. We don't see the people around the room that we are working with, but that's perhaps who we should put first. We should make sure we're scheduling time or reviewing each day and thinking, how have I connected with someone today in a way that's really moved our relationship on, that I've learned something about them beyond simply the subject matter we discussed in a meeting, that I'm deepening my connections and understanding through that a different perspective on the world, exploring my own potential by bringing in the perspectives of others. As I worked as a diplomat, relationships sat at the heart of everything that we did. As an Olympic rower, relationships sat at the heart of performance too. Actually, I think in all our organizations, relationships sit at the heart of performance. As a diplomat, I enjoyed that process and the opportunity to really explore how we influence others, how we prioritize relationships, and realize that success only comes through the strength of those relationships. I can remember thinking and learning from other negotiators around me, the importance of connecting beyond the subject matter you're negotiating, of understanding the worldview, the perspective that others are bringing around the room. You will not persuade them by the force of your own arguments, by having the best solution, the best ideas. You will persuade others, I was advised and saw in practice, by knowing and really understanding how they see the world, by understanding what they want, what they really care about and why, so that then you can start together to co-create something that didn't exist before. Simply trying to win, simply having a zero-sum game mindset that means the strongest, the best idea wins, doesn't lead to good, sustainable solutions. It usually leads to somebody leaving or a solution that will stall and break down very quickly. It's that ability to create common ground with others around you, that shared sense of purpose, that connection about something that really has lasting value, that will enable you to move the business, discussion, the sports opportunity within a team, whatever it might be, whatever that situation is, the diplomatic negotiation forward. Clarity, constant learning and connection. These are themes that help us tap into deeper parts of who we are and how we operate. I'm frequently told not to challenge our concepts of winning because that's just how we are. It's how we've been created. We're wired to win, but we're not wired to win in a short-term way, or we're only partly wired to win. There's a part of our brains that responds to short-term, that dopamine hit, that target that we reach, that medal we get round our neck. But then what? We're left chasing another one, the next one, with diminishing returns, when in fact we could play to a different part of our brains, the ones that responds to meaning and purpose and things that have lasting value. The long win is not about lowering standards. It's not about trying to dilute what we're capable of. It's the opposite. It's about being more ambitious beyond simply who comes first, beyond simply awarding winners' medals in narrow categories. It gives us an opportunity to redefine success through a clearer sense of purpose, with a constant learning process to take us throughout our lives, throughout the highs and lows of the milestones along the way, and to really value the human connections in everything that we do. We have cut ourselves off from a better way to succeed, and it is time to reconnect with the long win in order to help us to explore our potential, to explore all of the possibilities together in a better way. Thank you.